team was up 18. What happened after that?
They went on a heck of a run. I think they did a great job of, forcing tough shots. Those tough shots and long shots led to run-outs. We got stagnant a little bit. We found something that worked. And, then we missed a couple shots, and they were able to get out and run. Donovan got downhill quite a bit, similar to last game, but this time we weren't doing it without fouling, putting him, them getting 36 free throws, probably 30 for the game after, the late fouls. But 30 free throws is not something that that's not our calling card.
Do you attribute the stagnant nature of the offense from that point forward?
Well, I think we had it going. The ball was moving, the ball was popping, but again, we start missing a couple shots, and those shots lead to long rebounds, which were able to lead to runouts, and that's what I think ended up happening. But before anything, and I know I answered that one, but I'm so proud of our group. I'm so proud of these young men and the way in which they played, that they've battled all year. No matter what the circumstances are or were, these guys have continued to stay together. They've continued to fight. They continue to pull for each other. And I know it sucks right now. It really does. But you still can't say I can't say, and we can't say how proud of this group I am and our staff is.
I know neither either of you want this in a losing performance, but speak on Paolo's effort tonight.
Special. There's a reason why he's an all-star. There's a reason why he'll be all-NBA. Big moments, he never shies away from them, never back down, wanted every ounce of whatever they were throwing at him. And again, he did a great job attacking the rim, did a great job trying to find guys, did a great job rebounding the basketball. All the things that we've asked him to do in these big moments, he did.
Him being just 21, his first playoff series, did he surprise you maybe a little bit just how impressive he was throughout the series?
I'm going to say it over and over and over and over and over again. There's a reason why this young man is an all-star and will be all NBA, because he's going to show up in big games. He's going to play to try to win, find a way to win games. Not afraid of those moments. And it's not, obviously not the outcome we wanted, but to see this young man embrace the stage and embrace the spotlight in this moment is something that you can look forward to in the future.
I'm sure Franz is disappointed with his performance. Did you say anything to him, or what?
Listen, this man battled. Franz Wagner battled, and he was doing everything possible to get what he needed. And mind you, those 3 fouls early, not going to get a fine. So at the end of the day, being able to be taken out of your rhythm, and you attack the basket the exact same way P and Donovan Mitchell were, and not to get those same calls, you just have to look at that a little bit. But again, this young man is as competitive as anyone I've been around. He wants it more, and he's a tough kid, and he's going to bounce back. And there's a reason he will be an all-star coming up too.
Jamal, you kind of mentioned it earlier, but what do you say to the team after a loss like this, when the emotions are so high, to try to keep things in perspective?
You tell the truth. We've told each other the truth all year long. I walked in the locker room. I said, it sucks. It does. It does not to get the game, knowing what you were capable of doing, to be up 18, to feel you were in a space of, a chance to close out and to not get it done. Doesn't feel good. And then in the same breath, you have to put it all into perspective. Sometimes these painful things are blessings in disguise. So now guys continue to understand how you have to work throughout the summer. The attention to detail, the focus and the game plan, all of those things matter. And you have to experience it and feel it real time, because like we've done all year, we reflect back on what is going to help us become better.
Coach, when the dust settles, and I know it stings right now, what is a series like this and an experience like this for this young squad? What does this do for their future?
You will always remember a Game 7. Last night watching Chuck, Ernie, Kenny, and Dirk talk about their Game 7s. They all mentioned exactly how many they remembered, how many they won, how many they lost. You will always remember a Game 7. And I think these young men will always remember this game and how hard it was, what they needed to do, what we could have done different. And so that you take into the summer, and you take it throughout the upcoming year of what you need to do and how hard you need to work to get yourself over the top.
You talked all throughout the series and even before today, you just need to be yourself
Mm-hmm.
in these kinds of games. what part, obviously you didn't get the result, did you feel like you guys showed who you are in this game 7 or played as you guys are?
Well, that first quarter was special. I mean, we've talked about, and we've said it over the year, like our starts. How do we start the game off better? And I think we couldn't have done a better job defensively in that first quarter of coming out the right way, playing the right way, trusting the pass, defending at a high level, getting out and running, all the things that we talked about, defending without fouling, finishing possessions out, those little things. And then as the game went on, they started to attack early on. We missed a couple shots. They were able to get out and run. Again, getting them to the free throw line. Can we do a better job of defending without fouling?
Coach, when the sting of this is over, the disappointment in a few days, what will be your outlook on this season in the future?
And I said it to them in there. I try to keep the same perspective. We try to keep the same perspective as the year goes on, because we know what we were capable of. That's the sting, and that's where it hurts. We know how good we have been and what we were capable of doing. But the perspective is still the same with a group of young men that have continued to grow and get better and learn through these experiences and remember how close they are and how tied together they are. That's the part of it that you really remember, the journey that we've been on. Guys remembering Game 7, having to win 3 or 4 games in order to get into the playoffs, to avoid the play-in. You remember those pieces, the 9-game winning streak. All those things were parts of this season, but it was also part of the season that these guys have bonded and grown together and continue to pull for one another. And the reality of it is it's not fun to lose these games in this situation.
When things started to snowball and they started to get the Cavs started to get rolling, was there any element where you felt like your team started to lose a little bit of its composure for the first time all series?
No. I don't think there was a loss of composure. I think there was an opportunity where we missed a lot of easy looks. We call a timeout. We come out, get a look that we want. It misses. They get off on the break, and they run and get an easy layup. So it takes it out of you a little bit. But the one thing about this team, they did not lose their composure. There was no whining. There was no moaning. There was no yelling. They were focused on how do we get the next stop? How do we string a couple stops together to get out and get some early offense?
Obviously, kind of Game 7 still fresh here. But how do you make sure that everyone puts this game in proper perspective? It is the final game, but it is just one game as part of a larger, mostly successful season.
You have to learn from it. We've talked about it throughout this year, like the ability to reflect. And I say it over and over again. This is not fun. It sucks to lose a Game 7, to be in the position to win the game and let go of it a little bit. But you have to keep it in perspective of a group of young men that have continued to learn and grow and get better and trust each other and find ways to fight and stay together in the midst of hard games, hard times, in the midst of runs. That is very rare for a young group to do, and they did it all year. So I could not be more proud of them. Am I happy about the outcome? Absolutely not. But I'm proud of this group for the way in which they continue to stay together and fight for one another.
Thank you, Coach Mose.
Thank you, guys.
What do you think changed late in that second quarter after you guys had gone up by 18?
I want to say it was turnovers. That's why we came in the second, or in the first half, came in the locker room and said we want to take a little bit more of the transition away. And then all game they got too much to the free throw line.
What made it so tough in that second half to kind of contain Donovan Mitchell? I know he was a phenomenal player, but it seemed like he really got himself going in that second half.
Yeah, he got downhill. Like you said, he's a really, really good player. 17 free throws is way too many. And then second chance points. Yeah, and those throw-aheads, I thought they got too much. They played, a pace that was a little too fast for how we want them to play. So, yeah.
Franz, what was the biggest thing you learned from today and in this series with your time in the playoffs?
I'll just say off the top of my head, just how mental it is, ups and downs in a series. I thought for the most part, we did a really good job of recovering after maybe a tough loss, but mentally, when we give up a run, especially on the road, I think that's where we got to get a little better, and obviously myself as well.
Can you, I know you're an extreme competitor and you're probably as tough as yourself as anyone, but can you put a finger on where your struggles were tonight?
I didn't really get to the spots that I wanted to get to. Probably was a little rushed, and some shots just didn't go in. But obviously I expect a lot more from myself, and yeah, sucks to end the season like this, and I feel like I let my team down a little bit.
When you look at obviously this is just one game, but have you begun to reflect a little bit on what this season has meant and how far that you've grown and the team has grown?
Nah.
I think that's a tomorrow problem.
Yeah.
Great.
Thanks, Franz. After you guys went up 18 there in the second quarter, what do you think changed that gave Cleveland the momentum?
I think it really changed after halftime. They started the third very well, and then the crowd gets into it. They get going. Donovan Mitchell got going, and he kind of carried. I think them seeing him get going kind of rubbed off on everybody else, and guys started to make shots, make plays.
I know obviously you didn't want it to come in a losing effort, but what did you prove to yourself during this playoff series?
I didn't prove anything to myself, really. I'm just was grateful to be here with the team, and wanting to give them my best effort every game.
Franz just told us that he feels like he let the team down with his performance today. Did you say anything to him? Like, how are you a teammate now in this game?
I mean, sometimes the game, game doesn't always go your way. We're not here without Franz. Obviously, he holds himself to a high standard, and he expects a lot out of himself as a player. And, I've been in that position as well where, you feel like you could have done a lot more in a losing effort, but that doesn't this doesn't define him. It doesn't define us. He's going to have a great summer. He's going to get better. And just knowing him, I know he's going to use this to motivate him and take it to another level. So, I don't think he, let anybody down. Sometimes that, that happens. So he's a, this is our first time in the playoffs, man. And I'm just proud of how he played, how we played, and, I know we'll be back.
Paolo, you kind of mentioned it there. The loss doesn't define this team and what you did this season. Like, fresh off of it, how do you put into perspective what you were able to do and how you were able to come together to even get here?
It's special. Yeah, it's hard to talk about right now, but just where we started and, and where we ended up in such little time, only it being our second year, as a group. It's hard to put into words right now, but I'm sure I'll find something to say later.
You don't know what to expect in a Game 7 unless you've played a Game 7. You've now played a Game 7. Did that intensity meet what you expected?
For sure. It was a hell of an environment. Probably the most intense game I've played in my life, just with the crowd and the possession by possession battles, and the toll it takes on your body, on your mind. Every second of the game is intense.
I know you've had interactions with some other high level players, but having gone through a 7-game series now with Donovan, did he say anything to you as a veteran to the young player?
Yeah, we had a moment when the clock was running down and he had the ball. He just told me he got a lot of respect for me, and we shared words, and it's funny because he was the first guy that I kind of went at it with before I got in the league. We was in a pickup game together. There's clips on Instagram and stuff, but we went at it in that pickup game, and that was our first time meeting each other and playing against each other, and so it's funny how my first playoff series was against him as well.
When the offense stagnates a bit, what
I think a lot of things come into factor. I think it's the Cavs sometimes, but in the second half they really turned the intensity up on defense, and then I think it's also the crowd plays a part. It's hard to hear out there, in terms of coach getting the call to us or us getting the call to each other. It is hard to hear. That was, you hear it. Crowd is a factor, but I will say the crowd was a factor in that sense where, the communication was spotty. So I think it just, it was a tough one. They had a lot of momentum in that second half, and we tried to weather the storm. And they're a team that got a little experience, and they beat us. So you got to give the credit to them.
This is a team that's battled back throughout the course of the year. Do you feel like you even though